Hey, janitor. You missed a spot, right under my shoe. The line hit the gym floor like a punch to the ribs. Jump ropes froze mid-air. Gloves stopped mid-swing, and every head turned toward the man with the mop, Malcolm Price. But this wasn't just a janitor being mocked. This was a fighter in disguise, learning how to stay calm in a ring he no longer owned. And today, someone was about to remind the whole gym that respect doesn't wear a title. If you believe strength isn't in the fists but in the silence that holds them still, tap like and subscribe. Because in the next few minutes, you'll see how someone forcefully learns that the loudest man in the room isn't always the strongest one in it. Hey, janitor, you missed a spot, right under my shoe. The voice cut through the gym air like a jab. Every boxer paused mid-drill, gloves still in the air. The sound of skipping ropes stopped, and the rhythmic thud of gloves on heavy bags faded into silence. Malcolm Price looked up from the mop bucket, his hand still wrapped around the handle. The floor beneath him gleamed with the sheen of hard work and cleaning solution. But there, right in front of the boxing ring, stood Tyler Reed, Redwood Academy's golden boy, smirking like he'd just scored a knockout. "Come on, old man," Tyler said, lifting his pristine boxing shoe and tapping the polished floor. "What's the matter? Too tired to clean properly?" Laughter erupted from his friends leaning against the ropes. A couple of them pulled out their phones, recording the moment like it was entertainment. Malcolm didn't answer. He simply pushed the mop forward again, slow and steady, finishing the last strip of floor. The scent of disinfectant hung in the air. Tyler's grin widened. "Oh, he's ignoring me now. I see how it is." He took a step closer, his shadow falling across Malcolm's bucket. "You think you're too good to talk to me, old man?" Coach Ramirez's voice broke through the tension from across the gym. "Reed! Enough. You've got 3 rounds coming up. Save your energy for the bag." Tyler turned but didn't back down. "Just trying to teach our janitor here some respect, coach," he said with a sneer. "You know, make sure the floor's worthy of Redwood's best." A few chuckles followed. Coach Ramirez didn't laugh. His eyes flicked toward Malcolm for a brief second, a look that said, "Don't let him get to you." Malcolm gave a small nod and continued working, unfazed. His movements were calm, deliberate, almost rhythmic, like he was in a fight only he could feel. Tyler, though, couldn't stand being ignored. He stepped forward again, his sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. "Hey," he said sharply, lowering his voice. "I'm talking to you, mop man." Malcolm finally stopped. Slowly, he lifted his gaze. His eyes met Tyler's. Calm. Deep. Steady. "Go back to training, son," he said quietly. His voice was low, not angry, not weak, just certain. That tone, it hit differently. The room went silent again. Tyler's smirk faltered for a moment, but his ego caught up quick. "Son? You calling me son? Please, you work for this gym. You should be thanking me for not stepping in your dirty water." A few of the students laughed again, but it sounded nervous this time. Coach Ramirez walked over, rubbing the back of his neck. "That's enough, Reed," he said sternly. "Malcolm's doing his job. You do yours." But Tyler wasn't ready to let go. He bounced lightly on his toes, the faint squeak echoing off the gym walls. "Sure thing, coach. Just don't want to slip on his mess before the regionals. Can't have anything slowing me down." He turned, winking at his friends, and jogged back toward the ring. But as he passed Malcolm, his elbow brushed the mop handle, knocking the bucket slightly. A splash of soapy water spilled across the floor. Gasps rippled through the room. Malcolm caught the bucket before it toppled. His grip tightened, but he said nothing. He wrung out the mop again and cleaned the mess in silence. Tyler laughed. Oops, guess you'll have to clean it again, huh? That laughter, the kind that fills a space just to hear itself, echoed long after he was gone. Coach Ramirez lingered near the edge of the ring, shaking his head. You all right, Malcolm? Yeah, Malcolm said simply. Just water. But as he turned, his reflection caught in the mirror wall, mop in hand, back straight, jaw set. Something flashed behind his eyes. Not anger, not humiliation. Control. That night, after everyone left, Malcolm stayed behind. He mopped the empty gym, every sweep of the handle precise and unhurried. When he finished, he leaned the mop against the wall and looked at the ring. The ropes glowed faintly under the flickering fluorescent light. He stepped closer, resting his hand on the canvas edge, fingertips brushing the faint stains that never truly disappeared. He could still hear the crowd from decades ago, the roar, the chants, the sound of gloves colliding in perfect rhythm. He remembered standing under those same lights, younger, faster, unstoppable. He exhaled slowly. Guess some fights never leave you, he murmured. Behind him, Coach Ramirez appeared in the doorway, holding a towel over his shoulder. You still move like a fighter when you clean, the coach said with a faint grin. Can't hide it. Malcolm chuckled softly. Old habits, coach. Ramirez nodded. You ever think about getting back in the ring? Malcolm's eyes stayed on the ropes. I think about finishing what I never got to, he said quietly. The coach tilted his head. Maybe that finish ain't about fighting anymore. Malcolm smiled faintly, though his gaze stayed fixed on the ring. Maybe, he said, but sometimes the only way to teach respect is to remind them where it comes from. The next afternoon, the gym buzzed with energy. Music thumped from a corner speaker, and gloves cracked against pads in rhythmic bursts. The regionals were just a week away, and everyone wanted to look sharp. Everyone except Tyler Reed, who once again had an audience for his mouth instead of his punches. He stood in the middle of the ring, chest puffed out, grinning as a small group of boxers gathered around. Coach says I'm the future of this place, he bragged, and he's right. There's nobody in this gym who can touch me. His friends hooted in agreement, tossing towels and hyping him up. Tyler basked in it, basked in himself. Then his gaze drifted toward the far side of the gym, to the corner where Malcolm Price was quietly pushing his mop, headphones in, eyes on the floor. A smirk crept across Tyler's face. Except maybe our janitor, he said loudly, his voice slicing through the noise. Hey, old man, you ever clean the ring too, or just the floor? A few chuckles broke out. Malcolm didn't respond. He kept working, steady and focused. That only made Tyler push harder. I'm serious, he called out. Come on, you move like you know something. Maybe you can teach me how to dodge a mop handle. More laughter, the kind that feeds arrogance. Coach Ramirez looked up from the mitts, sighing heavily. Reed, he warned. Cut it out. Focus. But Tyler ignored him. He climbed onto the ropes, leaning over the side like a king on his throne. You know what? He said, eyes narrowing. I think it's time someone showed him what real training looks like. He jumped down and landed with a loud thud right in front of Malcolm. The gym went quiet, the sound of bags and jump ropes fading as everyone turned. Tyler circled him with a grin. Tell me, old man, you ever been in a ring? Or you just fight with the broom? Malcolm paused mid-mop. He looked up, slow and deliberate, the faintest trace of amusement behind his calm eyes. I've been in a few rings, he said quietly. A long time ago. Oh yeah? Tyler said, scoffing. Bet you were real dangerous back when phones still had cords. Laughter. Cruel. Loud. Coach Ramirez slammed the mitts down. "Read!" he barked. "You're done for the day." But Tyler, caught in his own show, didn't stop. "Come on, Coach," he said, gesturing to Malcolm. "We're just having fun. Tell you what, let's make it interesting. 1 round, me and him, just for laughs." The room fell silent. Even the music cut out. Malcolm leaned the mop against the wall. His expression didn't change, but his silence carried weight, the kind that unsettles a room. Coach Ramirez's jaw tightened. "Reed, you're out of line." Tyler raised his hands in mock defense. "What? I'll take it easy on him. Promise." He turned to Malcolm again. "Come on, old man. Show us what you got. Unless..." He tilted his head, grinning. "You're scared." Something flickered in Malcolm's eyes. Not anger, memory. He'd seen that same grin before, on a dozen young fighters who thought power meant noise. "Scared?" he said quietly. "Son, I learned a long time ago. Fear isn't what keeps a man from fighting. Pride does." A murmur rippled through the room. Even the other students glanced at each other. Tyler's grin faltered, then returned. Sharper, cockier. "Big words for a janitor. Tell you what, if you last 30 seconds in the ring, I'll buy you a new mop. How's that for a deal?" That drew a laugh from the group. Even a few trainers smirked uncomfortably, unsure whether to stop him or see where it went. Malcolm picked up his bucket, rolled it toward the wall, and said quietly, "You sure you want to do this?" "Oh, I'm sure," Tyler said, already wrapping his hands. "Been waiting for a real challenge." Coach Ramirez stepped between them. "Enough!" "Reed, that's not a fight. That's stupidity. You're not embarrassing my gym for a show." But before he could say more, Malcolm spoke, calm and measured. "If he wants 1 round, I'll give him 1. The room froze. Even Tyler blinked. "Wait, you're serious?" Malcolm nodded once. "Just 1 round. You say when." Ramirez turned to him sharply. "Malcolm dash dash." "It's fine, Coach," Malcolm said gently. "Sometimes lessons don't stick until you feel them." Tyler grinned wide. "You're on, Janitor." If you're still watching, you can already feel the moment where pride is about to lead to destruction. Hit like and subscribe if you've ever seen arrogance meet its hard lesson. Because what happens next will prove that real respect doesn't need to shout. It simply shows. As Tyler climbed into the ring, the crowd of boxers began whispering, phones already recording. This wasn't training anymore. This was spectacle. Malcolm walked to the corner, unzipping his faded jacket. Beneath it, his frame was lean but strong, muscles tight like coiled rope. He stepped through the ropes without hesitation, his movements smooth. Too smooth for someone who claimed to be out of practice. Tyler didn't notice. He was too busy posing for the camera. Coach Ramirez shook his head, muttering under his breath. "Lord help that boy." Malcolm simply adjusted his stance, eyes calm, hands loose. The years melted off him in seconds. Tyler bounced lightly on his heels, taunting. "Try to keep up, old man." Malcolm gave a small, knowing smile. "Don't worry, son. I won't have to." The bell rang, and everything changed. The bell rang, sharp and metallic, the kind of sound that slices through breath and pride alike. Tyler Reed came out swinging. He was fast, no doubt about it. His gloves snapped through the air like whips, his footwork light, practiced. He'd been training for years, and it showed. Every punch was crisp, confident, and meant to humiliate. Malcolm didn't move much. He kept his hands low, feet planted, head tilted just slightly. calm, still, watching. "Come on, old man," Tyler taunted, jabbing quick. "Let's see what you got." Malcolm slipped left, then right, just enough. The gloves missed by inches. He didn't counter. Not yet. The crowd laughed. Some yelled for Tyler to finish it. A few, though, especially the older trainers, leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Something about Malcolm's stance didn't look random. It looked remembered. Tyler threw a hook, fast, heavy. Malcolm ducked beneath it effortlessly, his movement fluid, economical. He didn't even flinch. "Lucky!" Tyler barked, charging in again. This time he unleashed a flurry. Jabs, hooks, uppercuts, all flash, no patience. Sweat flew from his brow as the crowd roared, but every hit sliced air. Malcolm's body weaved and turned like water. A shoulder roll here, a sidestep there. His breathing was even, measured. His eyes, sharp as a blade behind years of quiet restraint, never left Tyler's chest. "Keep your chin down," he murmured softly between dodges. "Don't swing wild. You'll gas out." Tyler heard him, and it made him angrier. "Don't," he grunted, swinging harder. "Tell me how to fight." Malcolm pivoted. One clean turn. Tyler's punch met nothing but air, and before he could recover, tap. A glove landed squarely on his shoulder. Not hard. Just enough to make contact. Malcolm stepped back. "There's your lesson," he said quietly. "Control." Laughter rippled through the crowd, not cruel this time, but stunned. Tyler's face turned red. "You think this is funny?" he shouted, lunging forward. Malcolm's expression didn't change. "I think you're fighting your ego, not me." That line stung worse than any punch. Tyler came in full speed, throwing a reckless right, but this time, Malcolm moved faster than anyone expected. A sidestep, a pivot, a single, fluid counterpunch to the ribs, not hard, but perfect. The sound cracked through the gym. Pop Tyler staggered back, breath whooshing out. The crowd gasped. Malcolm didn't advance. He simply lowered his hands. "You've got skill, son." "But skill without discipline?" He shook his head slowly. "That's noise." Tyler straightened, clutching his side. His pride hurt more than his ribs. You hit me." "Barely," Malcolm said, voice steady. "If I meant to, you'd still be on the canvas." Even Coach Ramirez couldn't hide his grin now. "That's enough, gentlemen," he said, stepping towards the ropes. But Tyler wasn't done. "No," Tyler said through gritted teeth. "We're not finished." He charged again, blind with anger. His punches turned sloppy, wild, all the training gone, all composure lost. Malcolm let him. He slipped, turned, blocked. Each miss made Tyler angrier, sloppier. And then, another counter. Clean. Precise. This one landed on the glove, not his face, not his body. But it was timed so perfectly that Tyler's own fist recoiled backward and knocked him off balance. He stumbled, fell to one knee. The crowd went dead silent. Malcolm didn't gloat. He didn't smile. He just stood there, breathing slow, eyes soft with something between pity and teaching. "Get up, son," he said quietly. "Respect doesn't start when you win. It starts when you lose." Tyler looked up, face flushed, chest heaving. His pride cracked in half. And through the gap, truth started to seep in. He climbed to his feet. The bell rang again, ending the round. Applause filled the gym, not for the winner, not for the loser, but for the lesson. Coach Ramirez stepped in, hand on Malcolm's shoulder. "You've still got it," he said with a quiet laugh. Malcolm smiled faintly. "Just muscle memory, coach." Tyler stood in the corner, gloves resting against the ropes, sweat dripping down his neck. The crowd began to disperse, murmuring, replaying what they'd seen. But Tyler didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on Malcolm, not with anger anymore, but something closer to awe. "Wait," he said suddenly. You've done this before." Malcolm paused. "Once upon a time?" Coach Ramirez clapped Tyler on the back. "Kid, you just went one round with Malcolm Price, 2-time Golden Gloves champ." Tyler blinked, stunned. "You mean him? The Malcolm Price?" "The same," Ramirez said, grinning. "Walked away from it years ago. Lost everything but never his discipline. And you just got a free lesson most fighters would pay for." Tyler turned slowly toward Malcolm, his arrogance gone, replaced by quiet respect. He extended his glove. I'm sorry, I didn't know." Malcolm took his hand, firm but kind. "Now you do. Remember, titles fade. Character doesn't." The crowd began clapping again. Not for Tyler, not even for Malcolm. For the moment. The lesson had landed. The following Saturday, the Redwood Boxing Academy was packed. Parents, trainers, and young fighters filled the bleachers for the regional prep exhibition, a public showcase before the big tournament. The smell of liniment, sweat, and popcorn mingled in the air. Banners hung high above the ring. Music thumped. Cameras flashed. It was supposed to be Tyler Reed's big day. But Tyler didn't feel like a star anymore. He stood near the locker room mirror, wrapping his hands in silence. The cocky grin that used to come so easily was gone. His reflection stared back at him. Nervous, humbled, human. The video from earlier in the week had leaked online. A short clip, 30 seconds long, showing the young fighter's arrogance and the janitor's quiet mastery. Millions had seen it. Comments flooded in. That janitor's movement was pure gold. Respect to the legend. Kids need to learn humility like this. At first, Tyler wanted to disappear, but then something changed. For the first time in his life, he wasn't chasing applause. He was chasing growth. He adjusted his gloves and exhaled slowly. Across the gym, he saw Malcolm Price sweeping near the far wall. Same calm posture, same quiet rhythm. Tyler walked over, ignoring the stares that followed. When he reached him, he stopped and cleared his throat. "Mr. Price?" Malcolm looked up, expression neutral. "Tyler." "I just wanted to say..." Tyler swallowed hard. "I was wrong. About everything. The way I talked to you, the way I treated you. It wasn't about you. It was about me." Malcolm leaned on his broom handle, waiting. "I've been so busy trying to prove I'm the best," Tyler continued, "that I forgot what real strength even looks like." He paused, searching for the right words. "You reminded me." "Thank you." For a moment, Malcolm said nothing. Then he nodded. "That's the first real thing you've said all week." Tyler smiled faintly, relief breaking through. "Guess I'm learning." Malcolm's lips curved into a quiet grin. "Then you're already winning." Just then, Coach Ramirez called from across the gym. "Reed!" "You're up." Tyler turned, but before stepping away, he looked back. "Mr. Price?" "Yeah?" "When this is over," Tyler said, "I'd like to train with you." "If you'll have me." Malcolm studied him for a long moment, then simply nodded. "We'll see if you're willing to listen first." Tyler grinned. "Yes, sir." Minutes later, the crowd roared as Tyler stepped into the ring. His name echoed through the gym, but this time he didn't raise his gloves for cheers. He bowed his head instead. His opponent, a fighter from a rival gym, bounced lightly on his feet. But Tyler wasn't looking at him. He was looking toward the far corner, where Malcolm leaned quietly against his mop, watching. The bell rang. Tyler moved differently now, controlled, focused. Every strike came from discipline, not ego. He remembered Malcolm's words. Fear doesn't stop a man from fighting. Pride does. He stayed calm, letting the fight unfold like a dance. Each punch was measured, every breath deliberate. He wasn't fighting to prove anything. He was fighting to honor something. When the final bell rang, Tyler's hand went up. The crowd erupted. But the smile on his face wasn't pride. It was peace. He stepped out of the ring and walked straight to Malcolm. Without hesitation, he took the old man's hand and raised it high for everyone to see. "This man," Tyler said, his voice cutting through the cheers, "is the best fighter in this gym. And not because he can punch harder, but because he fights with respect." The crowd quieted. Even Coach Ramirez froze. Tyler continued, voice trembling with truth. "I disrespected him. I mocked him. But he didn't hit back with anger. He hit back with character. And that's something I'll never forget." The gym erupted in applause. Some stood, others whistled, even the rival fighters clapped. Malcolm lowered his hand, eyes glistening just slightly. "You've come a long way, son," he said softly. Tyler smiled. "Had a good teacher." Coach Ramirez joined them, clapping both on the shoulders. "Well," he said, grinning, "if this is what humility looks like, maybe I should make it part of the training program." Laughter broke the tension, filling the room with warmth. Malcolm picked up his mop again, ready to return to his quiet work. But before he could, Tyler stopped him. "Sir, you don't have to clean today. I got it." Malcolm raised an eyebrow. "You sure you know how?" "Guess I'll learn," Tyler said, grabbing the mop handle. The whole gym chuckled. Malcolm just shook his head with a smile. "That's how it starts," he said. "Respect, one floor at a time." As the crowd began to leave, Malcolm lingered by the ring. The gym lights reflected faintly in his eyes, soft, proud, full of peace. He looked at Tyler one last time, now surrounded by teammates congratulating him, and whispered under his breath, "Maybe that finish I was waiting for finally came." Then he turned back to the floor, mop gliding in slow, steady strokes, the sound blending with the faint echoes of the ring. Because for Malcolm Price, victory was never about applause. It was about what you leave behind after the fight is over, and that, finally, was clean. If this story moved you, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more true reminders that power isn't in how loud you are, but in how deeply you stand your ground.